One of the, gotta say, it's one of the worst defenses in global history from last year. How are you working on trying to fix it?
Way to start off.
Way to bring that thing in 90 miles per hour on the first pitch, man. But you're exactly right. Taking over defense that wasn't very good, especially toward the end of the season last year, is a tough task to deal with. But when you got a good group of coaches, like Coach Sash said, we hired some good guys on the defense side of football that's going to help us get to where we need to get to for sure, and limit explosive plays and limiting points on the board, and just playing together. One thing we saw last year, those guys, they stopped playing for each other, stopped giving effort, and that's one of our pillars, attitude and effort. And if we're able to do that on defense and play really, really hard, that'll eliminate a lot of mistakes that happen, throughout each and every play. But like Coach Sash said, we're working together. I think with what our offense does will help the defense, being able to get on and off the field and not having the defense out there a lot. But being able to run the football and continue to get first downs, that most definitely is a defensive friend.
Bryan,
Who's some of the guys that are standing out right now on defense that you would say look out for in the season?
Well, we always start up front. You look at a guy like G.G. Robinson, a senior. We've challenged him since we've gotten here. And he's taken on that role the last probably about 4 practices. He's been lights out. He's been going hard, all right? Harder than he's ever been going, and he would tell you that. But he's one of the guys that's been doing great. Stand up front, you got a guy like Ty Tyler who's coming in, grad transfer, doing an amazing job for us. Very, very strong, very knowledgeable of the game, and quick and able to get out to the pass rush, and that's what we need for sure. You look at linebackers, you got Dorian Etheridge, C.J. Avery. Outside, you got Rajay Burns has done a great job. And then in secondary, Russ Yeast has done an amazing job for us, as well as Kane Pass, getting us in and out of our checks. And then the corner, you got, Marlon Jackson has really turned heads with how he's practicing the last couple of days. Very pleased with him. But as a group, I just think we're getting better each and every day. We took a step back today in the red zone. But that's a work in progress for sure.
Has it been difficult to...
Real quick, Marlon Character, right?
Marlon Character, got dogged. Marlon Jackson, I done it about 3 times. Marlon Character, sorry.
Has it been difficult, or how difficult, if at all, has it been you've got a completely different system than the previous ones, and they've had different coaches for so many years, so right. How is that process?
It was tough at first, implemented in the spring. But I think those spring practices most definitely has helped. But I think where we made strides is we're able to get, 30 minutes here or there, 2 days a week in the summertime and in the end of the spring, what we call player-led practices. And we're able to get out there as coaches and continue to implement our scheme. And that has helped. That has helped tremendously for our guys with his FSL checks and just normal base defense. And it was difficult at first, but if you look at day 1 practice in the spring to today, it's like 90 light years above what it was at day 1 spring.
When you see a lack of effort last year, how do you go about addressing that? Do you appeal to their pride? How do you motivate them?
Well, it's a little bit of, we always tell them effort is between you and you. You got to be the one that's giving the effort. I can't coach effort. That has to be deep inside you. But one thing we do defensively is we do what we call a hustle tape. And if you're not on that hustle tape, you won't play for me on Saturdays. And so that's how we practice. We're going to get to that football, and we show the guys hustle clips and who's on it. We highlight them. So every day we'll say, hey, you've been on the hustle tape. You've been on the hustle tape. By the end of the week, if you're not on the hustle tape, you're not going to play in the game for me on Saturday. And that's just the God honest truth. And we've been doing that for the last couple of years at App. And if you turn on our game film, that's one thing that you see. We get to that football, and that's what we're going to do here, and that's what we're trying to implement is that hustle tape, and the guys are really, really taking control of that, and they love it because they'll say, hey, you better get to that football, letting the buddy know you better get to the football, or we're going to be running on the sideline. And we do some little things after practice if I feel like we're not getting to that football as well.
Bryan, I know some guys have talked about, I know you're a very energetic guy, very energetic coach. Some of the guys talk about that's kind of maybe what they needed. Did you sense, I think you would have done it no matter what, but did you sense that they needed something like that?
Well, you're exactly right. That's just me. That's my personality. But you could tell, and I can say this out of spring ball, it may have been day 4, maybe in day 4. I was still being myself, but I think I kind of went over the top a little bit day 4. And a couple of guys said, Coach, we need that. That's what we need. And I was like, really? I was like, okay, well, I'll give it to you. You know, I'm gonna give you everything I got. If that's what you need, I'm gonna give it to you. You know, and they like it, but it is like you said. I think that's something that they needed. They needed a guy to come in here that understands what's going on, but understand them as well. You know, and we want to do a great job of letting the players play the game. We're not out there playing the game. You can go in there and draw anything on the board. But if they got to go out there and perform it, they got to execute it. You know, and so we always have a lot of feedback from our players to say, hey, can you do this? They're like, no. If I'm in that position, I'll probably call this. Okay, well, let's call that. That's what we like to do with our defense. And but yes, I'm an energetic person. I think that's something they need.
What's the difference between not giving effort and then just being outmanned and just not being good enough?
Well, I think if you look at making plays on the ball or even in the backfield and you got a guy that misses a tackle and he's right there, that's giving effort, but that's just being outmanned, right? I think about if you're looking at giving effort, you think about a long play, okay, maybe a long play going across the sideline, and it may be 3rd and 8, and you got backside guys that are jogging and not sprinting, you know, or when the ball is in the air. I want to see all 11 guys or 10 guys, when that ball's in the air, I want to see them stick a foot in the ground and go chase the football right now. You could get a tip if you're a DB. You could also chase it down and somebody get a strip. We had a perfect example of the day with TJ Hull. He's a guy that's a linebacker. A deep ball was caught across the middle, and he chases it and made a call fumble. But that's effort. You know, that's effort. So when guys are not giving effort, loafing, and not chasing the football, that's what we call not giving effort.
And you saw guys jogging last year?
Oh, no doubt. No doubt.
Did it get worse as the season went on?
Yes, it did. You could tell. No doubt. You could tell toward the end of the season it was, you know, they played, but they didn't play for each other, and they'll tell you that themselves. You know, they didn't play for each other, and they didn't give great effort because it wasn't nothing else to play for. They weren't able to get to a bowl game.
Scott said that they weren't the best tacklers out there today. What can be done to improve that?
Continue to tackle.
Yeah.
That's all you can do. You know, you got to continue to work on it. We do tackling circuit drills. I thought early on in scrimmage we did pretty well, okay tackling, but toward the end of practice, when what we call old Freddie Soft, when he gets on your shoulder telling you, hey, you don't need to practice anymore. You can chill out a little bit. You ain't got to tackle this guy. It started entering practice today a little bit for us defensively, and that's when you saw a lot of missed tackles when those guys got tired. But we just got to continue working on each and every day and tackle as much as we can fall camp to get ready to tackle for sure.
On day 4, what caused you to go over the top, as you said?
Well, I think if you look at, you know, when I first got here that day 1, the first day of practice, I'm like, what in the heck did I get myself into, you know, practice-wise? But then when you go day 3, you saw some strides, and I was like, look, maybe it's me. Maybe I need to do something to help get these guys over the top and give a little bit more effort. And but I think that's what it was, just me giving, seeing the guys maybe need just a little extra push to play with passion. You know, coming out, we play music at practice, and guys just standing around. I'm like, we can have fun. The game of football is fun. So you can talk, you can laugh, you can joke, you can dance. You know, and they just didn't know how to practice. You know, they had no clue how to actually practice the game of football the right way. And it's not one-sided. It's not just an offensive, you know, period where I can't go for a football if I'm a DP, or I can't throw up a running back if I'm a linebacker. That's not the game of football. You just don't run by a guy. You tag them off or you throw them up when you got pads on. And they just didn't know that. And that was our way of teaching them, hey, this is how you practice the game of football. Have fun and play the game. Make plays on the ball. And I think I just need to go over there just a little bit.
What does it take to get on the hustle team?
What does it take? Great effort. Great effort. So our coaches, we do a great job of looking at it and say, hey, here's an effort play on such and such. All right, circle him. But it's anything when we let our running backs run. After we thud, we let them run. And I want our guys continue to chase and tag them off and then jog it back. When the quarterback's running, throwing the football, you got a D lineman that's chasing or somebody blitzing. As soon as that ball is thrown, I want to see you stick a foot in the ground and you go chase the football. If you're giving effort, and I can tell when you're chasing the football at 100%, as opposed to just going and chasing it, all right, and jogging, that's the difference. You can tell when guys, all right, start out slow and then they speed up. That's still a loaf because they started out jogging. But if you're sprinting the whole time and you keep that same pace, you maintain that same pace, that's great effort.
In a good week, How long is the hustle tape? How many plays?
How many players?
How many plays would be on it?
Oh man, sometimes you have like the other day. I mean, it was great. It was probably the best hustle clip that we've had since I've been here. We had 10 guys on the hustle tape on one play, and so it depends on how many guys get on it on one play. But we've had, I mean, yesterday I think we maybe had about 20 clips, maybe 18, 20 clips. But throughout the week we may watch it. If it's too long and everybody made it, I just call out the names and they know who made it, so we can go ahead and get to where we got to get to. So now the point has been made. You better get your butt on the hustle tape, or you're not gonna play.
Coach was talking a little bit about how there was a gap between first string and second string. What are you seeing out there, and are you getting a chance to really develop some of those second stringers, or are you focused right now on getting first stringers the reps and so forth?
No, you most definitely have to develop a second string for sure, because if one of those first guys get hurt, that second guy, he's in there, right? So you got to continue to develop those guys for sure. But you do see a little gap, you do, and some of it is not just necessarily talent-wise. I think some of that is just mental aspect of it. You got a couple of guys that were not here in the spring that are in that too deep right now that still don't know the scheme, like the back of their hand. We're continuing to develop them. That's why they're getting so many reps like they did today. And when those guys want a little extra meeting time, we give them a little extra meeting time. But we got to continue to just give them reps. Those guys need reps. You can get up there on the board all day long you want to. You can get up there and give them a sheet of paper. And when you put them in the fire, that's the most important thing that matters to us defensively, is developing those guys, getting reps.
Right, obviously you're the defensive coordinator, but was there anybody on the offensive side of the ball that stood out to you today?
Oh man, I mean, you look at I think the offensive line did a good job, especially in the red zone. All right, and that's kind of what we call fourth quarter. Those guys did a really good job of pushing the pile and creating running lanes for those backs. And I thought they did a really good job. And of course, you don't think of receiver wise. You think about Tutu. I mean, who's gonna cover the kid? I mean, the sucker's quick as all get out. He does a really good job getting open, and I think our tight ends have done a really good job this fall camp of blocking as well as leaking out on passes and catching some footballs. But the number one person I think will probably be Puma. He's getting better, each and every day with decision making. Throws may not be there at times, but the decision, he's going in the right spot, and that's the most important thing for a team. You got to have a quarterback that can limit his mistakes and take care of the football, and just make sure he keeps offense on the sticks.
Ron, for you, a guy like Monty, what can he do in your defense? He seems like he's a guy that made a lot of plays last year.
Monty Caban?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, he's a guy that's will be an end for us, and with his quickness, his quick twitch, that's perfect for what we do defensively, and I think he's doing a good job of that as well. He got to make sure he stays in the gap. I think those guys still want to revert back to some of the things they did last year and two-gap in, and we're not a two-gap scheme. You got to get in your gap and get in there and stay in there. So he's trying to peek and see ball a little bit, but I think he's doing a better job of understanding that. But he's just really quick, man, and that's what we need up front.
On that note, how important is Dorian to getting everybody lined up?
It's very important. Me and Dorian had a little spat today with not getting the call in soon enough, but he understands. And, I love that kid to death, man. He came to the side like, Coach, I'm sorry, I just want to get the call in. But he's very, very important. He's one of the quarterbacks on the defense. And our defense, the quarterbacks are the Mike linebacker and the strong safety. They got to make all the checks, all the, getting everybody lined up, whether it's unbalanced or whether it's FSL. Those are the guys that, take charge. And he's no doubt has been our bell cow on defense. And that's what you want. You want a guy that's in that middle of that defense that can take that delivers a lot of blows, but is smart enough to get us in the right defense.
Bryan, you've talked about G.G. Robinson quite a bit, especially earlier in the week. And what was your vantage point? What happened with him today? Are you concerned about him being in the booth?
Not concerned as much. I think he, just from what our medical staff has told me, I think he'll be, okay. He got kind of rolled up a little bit, but other than that, I think he'll be fine. Injuries happen in the game of football. That's like my man just asked a question about developing that second group. It's next man up mentality. So that's why we most definitely have to continue to develop our second group.
All right, Coach.